Hello and welcome to my channel, and in this video we'll learn something about Lambda function, map function and filter functions of Python. So before we start with writing Lambda function or map or filter function, let us just take a look at a simple normal function that we create using the keyword def. So I create a simple function of addition, and I name the parameter as x, and I return the output to be, let's take x plus 5. And if you do not know what a function is, I have made a separate tutorial on that, so you can take a look at that. So this is a basic function that I created, and now I'll just call the function, but I want to print that out as well. So I call the function add, and I take the value as 5. So I run this x plus 5, which gives me 10. So this was an example of a basic normal function that we use most of the time, but Lambda function is usually called as an anonymous function. So now let us take an example of Lambda function. I'll create a Lambda function which will give us the same output but in a single line. So let's name the variable as c. I'll name the variable as c, and now I'll create a Lambda function. So this is a Lambda function, and the value will be x. This is the variable, and I use a colon here. And next I name the operation that I wish to perform. So earlier I used the addition operation, so similarly I'll use the addition operation, and I'll do x plus 5. So this, I created a simple Lambda function. So this is the variable and the operation that we would like to perform with that variable. So we created a Lambda function, but now we need to call the Lambda function. So I will print I want to print the output, and I'll call the Lambda function by calling the variable where the Lambda function is loaded, and I will give the value of x. Similarly, I'll give it as a value 5. So the value 5 comes here. It does the addition and it gives the value in this x, which will go to the variable c, and it will print us the output. So I will run this part of code. So just like the previous example, it gave me an output of 10, but instead of using a normal add function, I used a Lambda function, which is generally called as an anonymous function. So here I use just a single variable, that is x, but now I'll take an example where I'll be using more than one variable. So now let's take another variable. Let's take it as d, and I'll create a Lambda function, and let's take 3 parameters. So I'll take x, y and z, and now the operation that I would like to perform on these parameters. So I'll multiply all the 3 parameters. So x multiply by y multiply by z. So I name the parameters here, and next I mention the operation that I would like the Lambda function to perform. So this is a simple Lambda function that I created. Now I need to assign the values to these parameters x, y and z. So how do I do that? I call the print because I want to print it, and I call the Lambda function here d, just like the previous example where I gave a value of 5. Here there are 3 parameters, so I need to give in 3 values. So I'll take smaller numbers which are easily you can calculate. So 2, 3 and 4. 2, 3 are 6. 6, 4 are 24. So the output should be 24. So as expected, as I calculated, the output is 24 as the operation of multiplication was performed here. The 2 was assigned to x, 3 was assigned to y, 4 was assigned to z, and the multiplication operation was performed, and the output was returned to the variable d. So you can use as many number of parameters that you would like to assign, and I will be using the much more complicated examples of Lambda function in the upcoming videos, in the upcoming projects that I'll be creating and uploading. So subscribe to my channel to get notified whenever I upload a new video. So here the example was related to just integers, but now let's take an example of a string. I perform lambda function operation on a string. So let's take a variable named as sent, which roughly translates to sentence, and a lambda function, and I will give two parameters r and s, and the operation that I would like to perform, the colon in between. After the colon I mentioned the operation that I would like to perform. So I would like to perform the lower operation, which will basically convert the string to lowercase, and I would like to join both these strings. So the second string s dot upper, which will convert the string to uppercase. So I created a lambda function here, the parameters of variables and the operation that will be performed. So now I will call the lambda function, but I won't want to print it out, so I add the print statement and the send the variable here, and now I send the values to r and s. So let's take a general example of HELL. I'll take some random characters as capital hello, and the second parameter maybe let's take it as world small. Some few of them will be capital, and I'll run this part of code. So if you see the first, the r, the hello got assigned to r, world got assigned to s. So the first r got converted to lowercase string. As you can see, the hello got converted to lowercase string, and the world got converted to the uppercase string. So this was an example where I used the strings as parameters that were used as input, and the operation of lower and upper was performed on these strings using the lambda function. So now these were a few examples of lambda function, but now let's take an example of map function as well. Obviously map function, I'll explain it as we write. So what map function exactly does? Map function iterates through an iterable. Iterable is basically either a list or a tuple or a dictionary or a set. So map function usually iterates through these iterables and performs the mentioned operation. So let's just uncomment the original add function here. Basically, come on, I'll just copy it and I'll paste it here, and I'll uncomment it, and now I will write the map function, but I want to print it out, so I'll just write a print statement here, and I'll write map. As if you can see here, the function that I will be calling, this is the add function, and the iterable I will be taking an example of a list. So the function is add function. Okay, these two brackets need not be mentioned, and the iterable, I'll take an iterable and I'll take a list as an iterable, and I'll give values 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So what it will do is it will take 1, it will add 1 plus, it will perform the operation of 1 plus 5, and then it will take 2, perform the operation, it will take 3, perform the operation, and give us the output. So I will run this part, and output is something weird, which does not look anything like addition operation, that addition operation is taken place. But one thing that needs to be noticed, that the iterable is a list, so the output will also be a list. So we need to mention that output will be a list. So I will mention it right here, list, open bracket, close bracket, and now once again I will run this part of code, and the output will be very much as expected. So I ran this part of code, and if you can see the addition operation, 1 plus 5 is 6, and you can just calculate it by yourself. So it iterated this list through this function, and it created another list which performed the addition. So here I used the normal function, the general function, the def function, but now I would like to take an example of a lambda function instead of the normal general function. So I commented out that part, and I will create a lambda function here. So obviously I want to print it out, but you can load it in a variable. Let's load it in a variable. I'll take it as C is the variable, and I will use as I wrote it down here, I used the list, and then I use the map. So map takes function, if you can see the function, but the function I will be using here is the lambda function. So I use the lambda, and I write the variable, let's take it as x, and I will take x plus 5 that the example that we saw previously. This is the first argument for the map function, and the second argument will be the iterable, and just like the previous example, I will take 1 2 3 4 and 5, and I will print out C, and I'll run this now. Okay, there is a small error. Oh sorry, there shouldn't have been any bracket here, should have been a bracket here, closing bracket, and I'll run this right now. So what it did is the map function iterated this list over the lambda function. Previously it iterated over this add function, but now I created a lambda function, and the map iterated this list through the lambda function, and it printed out this value. So here I iterated over just a single list, but now let's take an example where I iterated through maybe two parameters, or maybe two lists. So I'll maybe x and another parameter y, and instead of x I'll do it as x multiply by y. I'll multiply these two parameters here, and I need another list. I'll copy it and paste it right here, and I've run this part of code. So if you can see, it iterates simultaneously. It iterated the map function, iterated over these two lists. It took the value, gave the first item the value x and y respectively, and then it performed the multiplication operation. 1 multiplied by 1 is 1, and 2 multiplied by 2 gives us 4. Similarly, 3 multiplied by 3 gives 4, 5 multiplied by 5 gives us 25. So it took two iterable list, and it performed the multiplication operation over each and every parameter or item of the list. So this was an example of the map function. Now let us take an example of a filter function. So what filter function does is, it does not perform any operation, but if it checks whether the condition is matching or not, and if the condition matches, it takes the value and gives us that value as an output. So you will understand it better when I write it down and explain it to you, and when the code executes. So C equals as usual list, and instead of map function I'll be using the filter function, and the first argument that we give is a function. So I'll make a lambda function here. Lambda function, okay, what is happening? Lambda function, the first only single parameter in this example, I'll take it as x, and what I would like to check is if the number is even or odd. So if the number is even or odd, and if the number is even, I want that even number to be given as an output. So this is the basic simple code. X then divisible by 2, and it should be equal to 0. So this is the operation, this is the parameter or the variable, and this is the operation that needs to be performed. And next, I similarly filter function, even the filter function, just like map function, takes an iterable. So So I'll use a simple 1 2 3 4 5 example, and I will print out C. So I run this part of code, and if you can see, the number 2 is divisible by 2 and the 4 is divisible by 2. So both are even numbers. So it printed out a list of those conditions that got matched. But you might be thinking we can perform the same operation using the map function, but I will show you the difference. Instead of using the filter function here, I will use the map function right here without changing anything. I will run this part of code, and what you get is if the condition has matched or not, and if the condition matches, it gives you true, and if the condition does not match, it gives you false. So this is the difference between filter function and map function. If the condition matches, the filter map function gives us boolean output, that is true or false, but the map function gives us the actual value that got matched. So yeah, this was an example using integers for the map function, but now let's take an example using the strings. Obviously I took an example with lambda function using strings. So similarly, I will create a variable called sent, and I'll call let's take all v here is radio. I think most of the people might be following Queen. Yeah, this is a lyric from one of their songs. So this is the list or iterable that I have created here. The iterable consists of strings here. So next I will I'll create a variable result here, and obviously the output will be a list, and I'm using the filter function, and the first I'll be creating a lambda function, and the parameter will be test. And what I would like to test is if a particular character in this string it matches or not. If it matches, then I want that particular item as an output, and if it does not match, then I don't want that character, or if the character does not match, then I don't want that item as an output. So let's write the operation here, or let's take if the second character of each and every item of the list is, let's take E, then I want that particular item as an output, and if it is not E, okay, sorry, I'm taking the second item, indexing starts from 0, so 1 will give us the second character of the particular item, and if that second character equals, let's take E, then I want it as an output, and if it is not E, then I don't want it in the output list. So, and this was the function that I created here, and next I mentioned the iterable, that is sent here, and next I will print the result, and I will run this part of code, and if you can see, the condition got matched for the V, and here, okay, yeah, the condition got matched here where the second character of this item is E, the second character of this item is E. So this was an example where we use the filter function on the string input. So this was a tutorial on lambda function, map function and filter function. So I hope you liked the video. Please click on the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot for watching.